Well, hi, folks, and welcome to this week's webinar on how to get your work-life balance back and regain that vision and that purpose of why you started your business in the first place. Now, a little bit of preamble before we get there. Happy to answer any and all questions today. If you want to put them into the chat box, I'll go through those at the end of the webinar, but I do want to cover the information that's so relevant to you right now, if this is where you find yourself in your health and fitness business. And look, the vast majority do. So typically what happens is you start out, you work hard, you learn lots, you apply the lessons and skills and education that you've applied or that you've been educated in, and you gain clients and do pretty well, right? Next step is to then start your own business. And by starting your own business, what I mean is having your own facility. It doesn't matter how small it is or how big it is, typically not a gym. I'm really talking about a personal training or Pilates or yoga studio, which is more personal in terms of its service delivery. I don't work with bigger gyms. It's just not a model I'm happy with or even believe in. With the old gym memberships, and if that's you, then nothing personal. It's just not what I coach. What I coach is those who really want to provide a personalized service, whether that's some group, definitely semi-private and private training. So why I share that with you is because that's what most people do. We start up a business. We think we'll get more people if we offer more services. So we might have even some membership. We might have some group, some semi-private, some personal training. And then hopefully it grows if you've invested in your marketing education, or if you're just very good at what you do and you're in a good market where lots of people are sharing. You then take on staff, which in and of itself is a whole new skill set that you need to learn in terms of not just finding the right people, but then hiring them in the right conditions, managing training and the ongoing relationship that takes. Now, let's say you've done that and you're now in a position where, yes, there's money coming in, but what I see so often is that people are not keeping a lot of that money. The revenue's got up. And instead of doing your 10, 12,000 a month, maybe now you're doing your 20, 30, 40,000 a month. But there's not as much of that as profit as you may think. Typically, people are paying their staff well in order to keep them, which isn't a bad thing as long as the margins are there when it comes to what you're charging for your services. So what I see is that people are typically not charging enough, or they're not maximizing the profit centers within their business model. And that leads to the same amount of hours that the business owner is putting in. But what else do you get with that? Well, now you've got the added responsibility of having a team which you need to not only educate and manage, but also support with the number of hours that they want so they don't go and get a job somewhere else. You've got a lot more financial responsibility and risk. Now you've got a bigger facility, or even could be a smaller facility, but you've still got more overheads and there's more expenses in terms of utilities and rent and insurance and all those sorts of things. And you've got more clients to deal with, which means that you've got more financial management, you've got more administrative tasks, and you've got more marketing, because with bigger numbers comes bigger client growth as well as client exodus too, even if your churn is at a good level. So those three things lead to, most of the time, more hours, doing more and more and more and more. And this is where I see people getting really stuck and disillusioned in their fitness businesses. They may be making money and paying themselves a good wage. Often they're not, and they're not making that much more than when they were just a freelancer or an employee working for themselves, essentially. And this is a big frustration, I think, in our industry, because we're not taught how do we create a model which is going to take us to the lifestyle that we want. Now, whether you stay in that situation I described for a year or two or five or 20, like I see some business owners doing, because they just keep pushing and saying, if I work harder, all those absolutely crazy, I won't swear, but, crazy cliched things, wake up and grind and, hustle for the muscle. That stuff is just absolute crap. I got to be honest, it's absolute BS. It really is, and it's a fallacy that's come into our industry, that people wear it like a badge of honor, especially in Western countries, but really anywhere. They think if I work harder, if I do more hours, if I put more time in, I will be rewarded for that. And nothing could be further from the truth. Now, I'll give you an example from my business, my fitness business back in 2007. And I realized, because I'd gained enough knowledge at that stage, I'd been in business for 7 years, in the industry for about 10, and realized that with the model and the pricing and packaging and margins that I had, it actually didn't matter if I got more clients. If I got more clients, that means I needed more staff, which means I had more overheads, which means the margins weren't any different. And didn't make any more money. Well, hang on, let me clarify that. I made more money, but I didn't make any more profit. And that was a real wake up aha moment for me where I thought the maths here doesn't work. I don't have a good model. Now, you look at my business, Rick Isaac's Fit for Health from the outside. I've been on national TV. I've written a book, best-selling book. I've got great clients who are loyal, and some have been there for 5, 6, 7 years. All of this looks great on paper, but it doesn't look great when you're the person in that business doing 50, 60, 70 plus hours a week and not taking home that much more than when you were just running around doing it on your own. So, my point here is that we need to stop. We need to look at, which is what I'm going to talk to you about today, how to get your work life balance back. And then we need to adjust the model. So, how do you do this? Well, first of all, step one, step back. Literally take a step back from your business and think about not the business at all, but what do you want? What do you want in your life? And I share that with passion. Just this morning, we're Friday, 15th of August here, about 2:30 Melbourne time. I live in Bali with my family, my beautiful wife of a long time now, and partner of even longer, and our two beautiful kids, 15-year-old son and 10-year-old daughter. And I was surfing this morning with my son. I won't tell you where, it's not a secret spot, but hey, we like to keep these things to ourselves. But it was down on the east coast of Bali, and hardly any guys out in the water. And in fact, by the time we'd been surfing for 45 minutes, they'd all gone in, and it was just me and him. And I was just sitting there with this magic moment thinking, how good is this? I've just seen him catch a wave and that I've encouraged him into, I've hooted and hollered, and he's pulled out the back of the wave. He's now paddling back out. And I just thought, this is what it is all about for me. Now, it took me a long time to get here because I didn't do what I'm now advising you to do, which is to take a step back and think about what you want. What do I want? I want to go surfing with my son. I want to be able to have long weekends with my family and my kids because you know what? You can make all the money in the world, but you cannot get the time back. And this really hit hard for me a few years ago when my mother passed away. And I realized that we were living in the US at the time and I was hustling hard. I was, doing the corporate thing with a business that I was working for at that stage, doing what I do now, but just working for someone else. And I realized this is not it. That, I missed out on those last few years of her life. And yes, we spoke on the phone every week. And yes, we went back there for holidays. But it really hit me. Now, she would have been thrilled because she didn't want me pestering her. She wanted me to live my life. But that was where it resonated for me. So coming back to what you need to do in step one, take a step back, write down, or even better, record, what do you want your day and a specific day to look like? What do you want your Monday to look like? What do you want your Tuesday to look like? Your Wednesday, your Thursday, Friday, your weekend, etc. What do you want? How many hours do you want to work? Now, you need to factor in administrative, bookkeeping, staff management training, marketing, obviously, sales and closing deals, getting new clients. There's lots of things that got to factor into that. So you don't need to go in that detail yet, which is what I help my clients do a lot of. But we do need to know, how many hours do you want to work each day? How many days do you want to work each week? These are important questions to ask yourself, and it'll be different for everyone. How many weeks off do you want each year? Because we need to factor that in too, right? Because that will be essentially unpaid, as in you won't be getting paid for the time that you're working in the business. Now, once you've got that picture in your mind, because and obviously that correlates with what do you want to do. So for us, we love going away on the weekends, and I love timing my time away, my holidays, when the kids have their holidays from school and whatever else they're doing. So for me, I really need 6 weeks holidays per year so I can maximize the time I spend with the kids. And I need flexibility over my Mondays and Fridays because of long weekends and those sorts of things. And we get more of them here in Bali than you would do if you're living elsewhere because of the culmination of religions. So Hindu holidays, Christian holidays, and Muslim holidays are all rolled into one with the schooling systems here. So Mondays and Fridays are important to me. Okay. Now, do I do these webinars most Fridays? Yes, I do, because it's one of the few things that I do on a Friday. But it's interchangeable, right? It's flexible. I don't have to commit to these. So I keep my Mondays and Fridays. So I work with my clients Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay. It's one-on-one coaching that I do with them. And so they get a lot of me. And then I have time outside of the actual face-to-face to be able to work on follow-ups for them or materials and tools that we've created together, working and reviewing things that they've created or editing and those sorts of things. So what is it that you want? That's what I want, but that's different to what you want. Now, some people love working 50, 60 hours a week, and that's what they want to do. And there's nothing wrong with that. The only time it comes a problem is when you're doing something you don't want to do. And that may change as you evolve through your career, as you evolve through your life. My wife's a very independent person, and she didn't mind it when I used to do a lot of professional speaking and traveling around Australia and the rest of the world because she got to have her own time. So back then, before we had kids, it wasn't a problem. And she actually enjoyed those times away much more than I did. I hated being away from her. Would often be ringing her from hotel rooms wherever I was, and the euphoria of presenting to big crowds had disappeared. So, what is it that you want? Okay, that's the first step. Now, step number two, oh, apologies, I think my video is just frozen there for a second. It should come back on. In fact, let me do this and then let me do that. So, what is it that you want? What do you want each day to look like? And it's important to get down to the details of each day, okay? Because that's going to then determine how many hours in the week in total. So now you've got a figure, you've got a certain amount of hours, right? Now we need to look at the model, and this is where the magic happens. And where I work with my clients extensively is on the maths. How many chargeable or bankable hours do you need to be doing, or does your team need to be doing in order to create a certain financial goal? So once you've looked at your lifestyle goal, then we need to look at, well, what is it that you need to be earning to support that goal? Okay, is it 150,000 take home a year? Is it 200? Is it, I mean, may even be less for you. You may not even want or need that much money. It could be the time that's more valuable for you. But what is it? Okay, what do we need to actually attract them? For most people, it's going to be north of 100,000 in order for them to be able to do the things that they want to do and afford or invest in the things they want to invest in. So, what model and how many hours within a model of chargeable or invoiceable time do we need in order to create that revenue? Okay, and this is going to be a number of factors. What are you charging per hour? Or it's going to be the major one, right? And then what other overheads and expenses you've got. So that takes time working through that and really coming up with that model which is going to take you to that goal. But this becomes so incredibly powerful when you do it because now it's not a gray area anymore. If you're playing any type of sport or doing any type of activity without a goal, it becomes very difficult to measure. First of all, are you on target? Also, to know, have you achieved it? And that's what leads people to just hustling more, doing more hours, putting more time in, only to get to a point where either they break or they realize this isn't fun anymore. This is not what I signed up for. Often, though, that can be taken, or that decision can be taken away from you because you've got all these other overheads, right? So, what is it, and how much is it that you need to charge per session? Now, if I had my time all over again, that's where you want to start when you're thinking about creating your business. not just, well, I want to get a few clients and hopefully get a team and then go from there, because that doesn't give you a clear runway. When you break it down and look at, well, okay, in order to get, let's say it's 200,000. All right, let's say we're going to need 50,000 to pay staff. There's going to be, sorry, let me come back a step here. Let's say you want to, let's use 100,000 because it's an easy figure. Okay, so you want 100,000 take home. So what is that going to mean? Typically, it's at least twice that that the business needs to generate. So to generate 200,000 in yearly revenue, and again, your currency may differ from this depending on where you're at. But let's say it's 200,000 Australian or 200,000 US. That's what you want to be developing, or that's what your business needs to be earning in order for you to take home 100,000. Well, let's look at the expenses in there. Let's look at the overheads. And this is what can determine your pricing and packaging, because there's a market for everyone. There's the absolute cheapest market of people still to this day charging 30, 35, $40 per hour for training. I know, ridiculous, right? And whether that's one-on-one yoga or Pilates or any service, personal training, it doesn't matter. It's the hourly amount. It's never going to work, right? But is it $90 per session you need to charge? Is it 110 per session? Because there's people out there that will pay for 90, and there's people out there that will pay for 110, right? So what is it that you need to be charging, doing the amount of chargeable or bankable hours in the business that's going to get you to 200,000 per year? You see where we're going now with this? It's putting figures and numbers around the goal and that lifestyle you want to achieve. So now we know how many clients you need, because we know how many hours you need in the business, right? Bankable hours at a certain rate to get to that revenue. So now we can look at, well, on average, if someone's seeing you 2 or 3 times a week, which they really should to get the best results, doesn't matter what you're doing, right? Once a week is barely maintenance. Then what do we need to achieve there? Now you can get more detail with this. You can say, well, we need X amount of one-on-one clients. We need X amount of semi-private or small group, typically no more than 4 or 5 in a group. And if you do want to do group training, how many group training clients? Now, again, coming back to what I said at the start of the webinar, remember that the higher number, the higher volume of clients, the more work. It's just reality. Even though you may have 50 group training clients, 20 semi-private and 10 private clients, you've still got 80 people to manage. Whereas the revenue generated, if you had 20 or 30 one-on-one clients, say 30, and you've got 20 semi-private, now you've got 50 clients, but you're probably making more money than having 50 group, 20 semi-private, and only 10 one-on-one. You see how the numbers change a lot there? So this is an important one to think about when you're readjusting your business model. If you already have group training, well, do we want to minimize that, or do we want to just keep it where it is right now and focus your efforts on the semi-private and private, where there's much, much better margins, okay, and much less work required? That's typically where the vast majority of people have got the ability to grow. You don't need a lot of space for one-on-one. For a lot of studios or facilities, you can be doing them at the same time, but the margin's considerably better there. Now, I hear you say, well, hang on, but doesn't that mean that you'll need more people power in terms of delivering those sessions? Yes, you will, but if the margins are right, it's much, much easier. Now, I know some of you group aficionados will be thinking, well, hang on, Rick, that's not quite accurate. If I've got 20 people all paying $20 for a class, and that's $400 a class, and I only need to pay a trainer $50, $60 to do that class, well, that's much better than doing a one-on-one personal training session for $100 an hour, and I've still got to pay the trainer $40, $50 for that session. Well, yes, you're right, but what is the cost of getting 20 clients paying you $20 per session? How much marketing cost was that? How much time and effort cost goes into that? How much management and administration time goes into those 20 clients? It's not just the session and the reward or the financial benefit of that session. Do all of those 20 clients turn up every single session? Are there sometimes when it's less or more, or, there's lots to be thought about there when it comes to that. Now, your business is your business. So obviously it's up to you. Oh, hang on, we've got the camera freeze again here. I'm not sure why it's doing that. I think I have to get my little camera sorted out here, or maybe checked. My point with this is that you need to look at building a model or rejigging your existing model, which is going to enable you to get the revenue you need within those hours that you want to be working, your bankable hours. There'll be extra hours on top for training and sales and admin and marketing, as we talked about. But what are those bankable hours you want to be working at? What is that revenue you're now going to be earning as a business? And what is your take home part of that revenue, which also needs to factor in tax and those sorts of things? If this is sounding a little complicated, it really isn't. And it's the first thing I do when I start working with new clients of mine is we sit down and we go through this together. And it's really easy when, just like everything, right? It's easy when you've got a guide. It's easy when you've got someone who's already done that multiple times and they can just help you to get through it quickly. Typically, the first hour, hour and a half, and we've got a plan. We know exactly what revenue they need to be generating. We know exactly what sort of hours they want to be working. And now we just need to tweak the model and look at, well, where are we going to create that revenue? Is it going to be one of those three sources? Private, semi-private, or group. Now, you may call them different things. It doesn't matter whatever it is that you call it, but that's essentially where your revenue bases are at. Okay. So that's really it. Then you've got a plan, right? And you've got numbers to work towards. Now we look at where do you put your efforts and energies. I see people spending so much time on activities that are not directly related to their goal or what they're trying to achieve because they haven't set a goal. And they're now lost in this 60, 70, 80 hour a week uh, well, it's a treadmill. They're stuck on the treadmill of just having to get up and do this work all the time. They're getting burnt out. They're not enjoying it as much anymore. They may, as I said, or may not, in a lot of cases, be making money. And essentially, they're just providing a revenue and a service for other people without being rewarded for it. And that's not winning. Okay. I know we're all passionate about helping people, and there's a lot to be said for that, as it's very valuable. But it shouldn't be at your detriment, right? You deserve to be rewarded too. Do your clients take vacations and holidays? Yeah, absolutely. Because it's people with disposable income and good incomes that can afford your services, right? Otherwise, they'd just be walking around the clothesline out the back themselves and wouldn't be paying for services. They have to have a certain amount of revenue, which means that they have a certain lifestyle that they enjoy as well. But I see so many in the health and fitness industry in their own business who rarely take holidays or vacations. When they do, it's typically a few hours on the phone whilst they're away, and they often can't afford to go away on the types of holidays and vacations that their clients take. So being a martyr to that isn't winning, and there's no need to. You should be coming back refreshed, energized, and ready for the next stage in your business or the next period in your business, knowing that you've got another holiday or vacation already planned in. And then you're just dividing things up into chunks. And it makes it so much more fun when there's positivity and excitement in the near future and the horizon all the time, rather than just this endless road or endless, as I said, treadmill where nothing seems to change. And do I work harder? It doesn't seem to make any difference. So if you're stuck or you're feeling like your business isn't providing you with the lifestyle you want and that work-life balance, then reach out and get help. If it's with me, great. But you're not solving it on your own. I think that's the other thing, like that badge of honor we wear for doing the hard yards and, grind till you die. That's not a winning formula. But the other one is also, well, I've got to figure it out myself. And look, I definitely fell foul of that for the first really four years of my fitness business. I thought, well, I got to learn it myself. I'll just do more courses. I'll figure it out. Well, look, you're not going to figure it out. Otherwise, you would have done it by now. And just like it is with your clients, could they Google this information and do this on their own? Well, yeah, if they were supremely motivated and had amazing insights and abilities to watch their own form and technique and to be able to motivate themselves. But vast majority can't and won't. And that's the same as you. You need a guide just like your clients need a guide. And as I said, that's where I come in because I can help you see things that you can't see in your own business. When you're so in it and emotionally connected to it, you can't see these things. And it's amazing when you get that help and support for someone who's already walked a mile in your shoes because they can fast track the results you get. They can really help you plan out and then be accountable and maximize the time you're spending in the business each day and each week and each month, and also enable you to get the most out of your team as well. And when everyone's working toward that same common goal, whether you're sharing numbers or not is irrelevant. You'll know exactly how many clients you need in each of your revenue streams, and you can share that with your team. You can share it with your clients and say, hey, this is our goal. This is what we want to achieve. And then when you get there, or as you're going towards that goal, you know that getting there is going to enable you to get what you want. You can have that lifestyle. You can have that work-life balance based on hours you want to put into the business and revenue you need to be generating. And I tell you, when you get there, you're a better trainer. You're a better instructor. You're a better business owner. You're a better manager. You're a better partner. You're a better parent. You're a better member of society in your community because you're happy, you're excited, you're refreshed and energized from what you're doing, not just another day in a coal face, grind away, hustle harder, work till you drop. It's not the way to live. You only get one life. Well, who knows? You might get more, but let's not count on it, right? Let's make the most of the time we've got here and really help you to live the life you want, as well as being better, all those things we talked about for those you love, your family, your community, your colleagues, your clients. That's what's important here. So, summarizing what we've gone through, and look at that, I'm just about right on time. This is perfect. Been doing well today. What is your current work-life balance? Is your business model going to take you to the success you want? And that's financial as well as time, freedom, success. Is it going to give you those things? And if it isn't, then you got to adjust. You don't need to throw it out the window and say, it's all ruined. I'm been wasting my time and just start all over again. No, not at all. We just need to make some tweaks and adjustments. And I can tell you, it's amazing when you do this and how sometimes how little they are, little tweaks that you need to make. Andy's a good example. He's been in the industry for a long, long time, and he's got a good business model. In fact, it had the bones to get him to where he wanted to go, but he just needed to make some little tweaks. And it was very small things. So what I helped Andy to do, we went through the what I just explained to you in terms of the game plan, step one, step two, step three. We went through that and realized that his current model could take him where he wanted to go, but we needed to make some tweaks. And what were they? Well, for him, it was increasing his price point by $15 per session. So he was already charging, I think it was 90 or 95 per session. So we needed to put it up to 110. Okay. And that was not for his existing clients. His existing clients, he kept the same. So he didn't do any, although you should be putting your prices up every year, by the way. That should be something you factor in. And if you need help with that, I can help you too. But for him, for new clients, went up to 110. Did it mean that he got less clients? No, funnily enough, for Andy, it meant that he got more because compared to the competition, he looked like the best because he was charging the most. And people with money know that you get what you pay for. So he ended up getting more clients in at that higher price point, which changed his margins dramatically. Yes, he was working with more clients, but he was making a lot more profit. And that was the thing that tipped him into where he wanted to be. His revenue hit the targets he wanted. He was working less in the business because his staff were doing those hours for him. Because the margins were so good, though, he was paying all the expenses involved in delivering that service and taking the rest of it for himself, which is what he should do as a business owner because he's the one taking all the risks. Literally within 6 months of adjusting his target market and his marketing plan, Andy had gone from frustrated 60 hours a week, not taking home as much as he wanted, to now working 40 hours a week, having the weekends off completely, having a team member, he called her a supervisor. You can call him a head coach or whatever term. Not a manager. He didn't need a manager, but he needed a supervisor for when he wasn't there. So she handled all of the customer inquiries or staff challenges and those sorts of things. And he now had 6 weeks of holiday built into his life because he's got two small kids. So it doesn't have to be major tweaks. You don't have to throw things out the window, as I said, but you do need to get a clear view of what your current model is and what you need to tweak and adjust, or sometimes change tack to get to where you want to go. Okay. All right. Great stuff. Questions or queries? Let me just have a quick look here if there's anything sent through. Okay, here's a good one. Yeah, this is a great question from Matt Toowoomba. So Matt says, my current business model only does semi-private and group because my target market won't pay for personal training. What should I do? Okay, it's a good question, Matt. It's a good question. So your current marketing or your current business model is attracting those people. From what I'm hearing you saying, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat channel here, Matt, but your current clients have said that they wouldn't pay what you would need to charge for personal training. Is that right? Right. Okay. So your current model, if you're doing group training and semi-private, which you said you were, if you do more of that at your current price points, will that get you to where you want to go? That would be my first question to you. And you probably, I mean, please let me know if you know the answer. You probably don't know the answer to that. Let's wait for a second for Matt to respond. So that's the first thing to ask yourself. And if the answer to that is yes, great. There is no need to change, right? You just need to get more of those people. So he says he doesn't know. Right. So that's what we need to look at first. Is that going to get you where you want to go? And typically, in what I see after 25 years in the industry and 17 as a coach, it's not going to get you there. A quicker route with smaller numbers and bigger return is going to be introducing personal training. Now, I get it, Matt. Before you say, well, did you just hear me? I totally get it. Your current model, your current marketing, your current target market won't pay for personal training. So now we need to do a small shift, okay, in terms of your focus. We need to realign your marketing to a target market who will pay for personal training. So what you're currently doing is attracting a group and semi-private training client, which is okay. You may want to continue that or not, as the case may be. But we need to shift so that your new marketing effort and focus is on those people who are more affluent and will be prepared to pay more. The beauty with a higher priced service, Matt, is that you don't need as many people. You get 5 clients coming 3 times a week, paying you, and I don't know what that will be, but let's just use $100 as an example. It might be a bit less for you in Toowoomba's market, but let's just say 100 for convenience sake. That's 5 people coming 3 times a week each. That's 15 sessions a week. That's $1,500 a week. You look at that over a month, you're now looking at an additional $6,000 to your monthly revenue. Are there going to be costs associated with that? Sure, you're going to need to pay a staff member $30, $40 to do the sessions, or you may do them. So it's an extra 15 hours of work, but it's only 5 clients, Matt, right? Only 5. So it's not going to take an enormous marketing effort. Are there 5 people in Toowoomba who would be able to afford $200 to $300 a week for personal training? I guarantee you there will be. Will most people be able to do that? No. So again, we need to make our targeting towards those who have the ability to invest that amount of money. And that's a whole nother conversation and plan, which we would come up with you to make sure that your copy and your message is going to resonate with those people because it will be a different message to those people who are coming for group or for semi-private. Okay. I know that sounds really simple, and it obviously there's more complexity to that which we would need to uncover, but that's basically the solution. Okay. So look, let's have a chat, Matt. I'll reach out after the webinar. We can organise a time just for you and I to sit down and have a conversation about what it is you do want out of your business, and whether it is on the right track right now, and then we can see whether or not it's something that you want to do in terms of working together. So, but let's also recognize that with 5 more clients paying that amount, then it is an additional $6,000 worth of revenue to your business per month. You're talking 72,000 per year if you do the quick maths. That, for most of you listening, will probably be enough depending on where you're at right now, if you've got the right margins. And what I mean by that is, what are you paying your staff? You can't pay your staff $70 per session and charge 100. Does not work. Okay. It absolutely doesn't. So there's a specific figure on this in terms of the percentages that you need to make sure it's at, so that it will be a profitable investment of your team's time, or your time in this case for you, Matt, depending on how many hours you're doing. Great question. Great question. Okay. Tina says, and thanks, says Matt. Yeah, no problems at all. It's what I love doing, Matt. It's not easy, but it can be simple in lots of ways. Then you just obviously need the skills and tools to be able to run with it, but it'll be a winner. So, Tina, let's come back to you. I do personal training and semi-private, but can't seem to get enough clients to both. Should I introduce group? It's an excellent question. And again, I would ask you, Tina, the same question I asked Matt. Is your current model going to get you to the revenue that you want, which will enable you to have the personal income you want, which will enable you to have the lifestyle that you want? And I would suggest for most of you, if you're doing semi-private personal training, depending on what the margins are, the answer would be yes. So the first thing I would need to look at there is, what are you charging? And typically I find people, like I talked to you about with Andy, just an example before, are not charging enough. And that may sound contradictory, because you've just said to me, well, I can't get enough clients to my semi-private and personal training. So by charging more, you might think, well, that's going to put people off. But as I said with Andy as well, oftentimes it does the opposite. So that's the first thing we need to look at. Now, let's assume that you either adjust your margins or your margins are good enough as it is. Well, now we need to look at, what is our marketing, and do we have the right target market? Because it's a massive area of incompetency. We're not taught this, right? No one's taught how to be a marketer, or where or how to market. So we need to look at your ideal client, the person who can afford semi-private and/or private training, and who really is going to be a great client. It's not just that they can afford it, it's that they're going to take responsibility for their results, that they're going to be really committed to the process and not expect miracles in the first few weeks. So we really need to build a profile, if you like. And ideally, you will close your eyes and you can see that person. You know, who are they? Where do they work roughly? What's their yearly revenue and income? And what are their goals? Do they have financial success, but their health is something that's failing, which is often the case? And they will typically be a higher earner compared to the average, so to speak. But we need to hone in that target market and then think about what keeps them awake at night, what's stressing them about their lives. It's going to be their health, but what about their health? Is it, I mean, getting right down to it, is it dying young? Is it not seeing their kids grow up, not being there for them? Is it becoming, losing independence and becoming dependent on others because they've got health problems? Often these are some of the real reasons. They may have others that are sort of layered on top of those. But again, if you've got the right skills as a coach, you can dig down deeper to find out what is the real reason there. And that's what we need to address in your marketing. So if you don't know what that is at the moment, Tina, that's the first place we need to look. What is your target, or who is your target market, and what are their biggest problems? Their real deep problems, not surface level stuff that they talk about. What are the real deep ones that at 3 a.m. in the morning they're stressing about? That's a big one. And then we need to adjust your marketing accordingly, your message, your copy, who you're actually targeting when it comes to that marketing. What story do you tell? Because that's what great marketing is all about, is telling a story. And it's being able to connect with people and resonate with them so they think, wow, it's like this woman Tina's reading my mind. That's incredible. That's exactly what I'm stressing about, or that's exactly what my goal is. Because it's not just the pain or the bad thing. It's also what the positive thing is. If they were optimally healthy, would they be a better parent, a better colleague, more successful in their life? Would they have time and energy for their family if that's what's important to them? But whatever their goals are, and they're typically the opposite of what their pain points are, or I don't like using that term pain points. What are the things they're fearful of? What are their fear points? There you go. That's a better one. What are they fearful of? Because that's a massive driver. All right. Did that help, Tina? Just let me know in the chat box. Um, Oh, good. Yeah, yeah. Matt says he's sent me a message through the website there, so that's great. My website, by the way, Rami RamiBusinessConsulting.com. If you want to reach out to me, or you can certainly send me a DM as well. You'll see me at Rami Business Consulting on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, as well as LinkedIn. Richard Isaac, or Rick Isaac, is my personal LinkedIn page. And reach out if you've got any questions or queries. If you're not feeling comfortable to share, I know it's only been Tina and Matt this day, so you may have more questions as well, but maybe this isn't a format you want to share them in, which I appreciate. What I also really appreciate is your time today. I know how valuable it is and how busy you are already trying to solve all of the challenges and problems that you have in the business. So I really appreciate you jumping on. It's an absolute passion of mine to help businesses like yours and you personally. That's why I only coach one-on-one, because that's how you get the best results, whether it's in Pilates, yoga, or personal training instruction, or whether it's with business. That's how we make sure it is your voice. It's specifically structured to your business, and it's not cookie cutter or templated stuff, which doesn't actually work for you, or your business model, or your target market. So reach out if you've got further questions or queries. RamiBusinessConsulting.com. Actually, I'll put that into the chat box for you here. Businessconsulting.com. You can check that one out. Click on that link and register a call through there if you like. It's been an absolute pleasure. I can't see any more questions coming through, and we really are just up to our 45 minutes here. So thanks so much, everyone, for continued listening and your support. If you know of others in the industry who need help as well, please share this message. I'll make sure the recording's up so that you can send that one as well. I'll also pop it on YouTube, so it makes it an easy link to look at. Look, if you're not where you want to be right now, perfect time for the camera to cut out there. Gotta love that. Let me try again. If you're not where you want to be like right now, if you don't have the financial and the time freedom that you want to create the perfect lifestyle for you, then let's talk. Let's see about your existing model. Let's see whether or not you want to make some tweaks and changes, and whether or not we're a good fit to work together. If we're not a good fit, that's fine as well. I'd still love to talk to you, and hopefully I can give you some tips and pointers on just the adjustments that you can make in the business that will make it considerably better. It's an absolute passion, as I said, and I absolutely love doing it. So let me know if you've got further questions and queries. Thanks so much for jumping on the call today. You have a wonderful rest of your day and weekend, and I'll speak to you all very soon. Bye for now, folks.